And during summer with some sun exposure, I tend to get a little bit deeper. Well, not very deeper, I get to maybe fair to light. Hi everyone, so today we are going back to the base of makeup. Now I find that it's really easy to get lost in a sea of options whenever buying or using a product up. So today I want to demystify foundation and make foundation picking easier for you. I will explain to you which foundation finish, color, and applicator are the best for your skin. So let's get started. To begin, we have to start talking about the foundation texture, and this will depend on your skin type and also what kind of coverage you're looking for in a foundation. So for your skin type, there is a lot of different kind of skin types, but you can probably identify to one of the four main skin types there is. So the four main skin types there is dry skin, there's also oily, combination, and normal. It's really self-explanatory, so if you have dry skin, you could probably use a foundation that has a little bit more moisture to it. For example, for myself, I have extremely dry skin. I'm very sweaty right now because we don't have any air conditioning and it's a really hot day. But for myself, because I have extremely dry skin, I always like to use the Fenty Hydrating Foundation because this is hydrating. It's a foundation that's not going to enhance dry patches, texture, because dry skin sometimes can get flakiness, so a lot of skin texture. So you really want to have something hydrating, and you can also use a hydrating mist just to make everything more hydrating on your skin. Next, for oily skin types, again, very self-explanatory. You should use something that is more mattifying, so something that is going to reduce shine. So mattifying foundation are not going to reduce sebum production, so it's going to reduce the shine of your skin. So that's what you would want in a more oily skin type, something that's going to be a little bit more mattifying. Then you have combinations. For a combination skin type, well, you probably have the T-zone a little bit more oily, and maybe the perimeter of your skin a little bit more dry. It really depends. Usually it's the T-zone that gets a little bit more oily. But if you have combination skin types, you can use a mattifying one or a hydrating one. There's not really a choice for you. You can always use both. But the trick I like to give whenever you have a combination skin type is to use any foundation you like, and you can always mattify the T-zone with some kind of mattifying powder. And next, if you're one of the lucky people that has a well-balanced skin, well, your skin is normal. And if your skin is normal, you can use whatever foundation you want. It really depends on what finish you prefer. So if you want something very glowy, very natural, you can use a hydrating foundation. Or if you want something very mattifying, you can use a mattifying foundation. So it really depends on your finish preference. So that's pretty much it for skin type. It really depends what kind of finish you want to really balance your skin type. So next, the main thing would be coverage. So coverage is pretty much self-explanatory. You can have a light coverage, medium coverage, full coverage. You can also go for something like a BB cream or a CC cream or even a tinted moisturizer. And I just want to talk a little bit about BB creams and CC creams because they are a little bit different, so it will depend on what you're looking for. If you want something with a light coverage, you can always choose between both. So you can go for the CC cream, which is color correcting. They have diffused light particles, which are going to help with a color correction. So, for example, if you have more redness, then there's probably going to be more of a green tint to the CC cream, so it's going to balance out the redness in your skin. Or for example, if you have dullness, then it's going to give you back some radiance to the skin. So it really depends on the color correcting. A BB cream is very similar to a tinted moisturizer. It's a diluted down foundation, if I can say, with some skin benefits. So that's the main difference between a CC and a BB cream. So CC color correcting, BB there's some skin benefits in a BB cream. So now that you chose the foundation texture, you're ready to choose your foundation color. And it's really difficult to find your perfect shade match if you do not know your skin tone and your skin undertone. And the skin tone and skin undertone are two very different things. So the skin tone is actually your skin color, and that can change from winter to summer. So for example, for myself, I am very fair in winter, and during summer with some sun exposure, I tend to get a little bit deeper. Well, not very deeper, I get to maybe fair to light. So it's really just the color of your skin, and that can change. So for example, there's fair, medium, dark to very dark. And for the undertone actually doesn't change. Your skin is actually made of all of the colors. So you have blues, you have reds, you have yellows, you have all of the primary colors, and some people tend to have more blues or some people tend to have more reds. And that's what's going to make the difference. So you can have a warm undertone, you can have a cool undertone, and you can also be neutral. And a little trick to know your skin undertone is to go in natural light, and you have to look at your veins on your wrist. Now, my veins are a little bit more blue purple-ish, and that means that I have more blue in my skin, which means I am more cool toned. And if your veins are a little bit more green to olive toned, it actually means that you are warm toned. And if you cannot tell the difference, well, you're probably neutral. And that's pretty much the difference between undertone and skin tone. So now you are almost ready to choose your perfect foundation. Next, you would have to choose a applicator. Now, a foundation applicator can really make a big difference in your foundation's finish. So we are going to talk about 3 main applicators. So brushes, sponges, and fingers. And I really wanted to talk about different kinds of brushes because I have a lot of clients coming to me and asking me which kind of applicator they should use, and they never heard of different kinds of foundation brushes. So I really wanted to take the time and talk about brushes because it can get a little bit difficult. So there are a few main foundation brushes. Of course, there's all sort of like foundation shapes. Like you can have something like this, which is very rounded. You can have things that are more flat. It really depends. There's a lot of different kinds. First, starting with a stippling brush or duo fiber brush. So you have 2 layers of hair. So you have one that is a little bit thinned out, and under the thinned out layer, you have more compact bristles. It's actually going to make the brush absorb a little bit more product, and it's really going to distribute the foundation very lightly. It's really going to give a natural airbrushed look. So if you have a full coverage foundation and you want something full coverage, then you shouldn't use any kind of stippling brushes because it's going to absorb some coverage. But if you have a very natural finish, light coverage foundation, you can use a stippling brush because it's going to give a very natural effect. So that's it for the stippling brush. Next, we have the flat foundation brush. Now this brush, I feel like this is the most like universal brush. It's really self-explanatory, so you just spread the foundation around. The only thing is with flat brushes like this, you can get some streaks or some lines whenever applying foundation with this. So for me, for example, I like to spread the foundation around and then do tapping motions just to make sure that there's no lines in my foundation, or I even like to go in with a sponge just to remove all the lines. Another benefit of the flat brush is that the flat brush is not going to absorb any foundation, or not at all. So it's really going to pack the foundation on your skin, and because it's really flat, there's no really area for the foundation to go into. So it's really going to layer and apply the foundation compactfully. Compactfully, is that a word? In a compact manner. And as for the coverage, this is very buildable. You can use any kind of foundation with this. You can use a full coverage foundation, a light foundation, because this is really going to apply the foundation in a very neutral way. Next, we have packing brush or flat kabuki brushes. I don't have a good example with me, but I do have this brush right here. So these kind of foundation brushes have very compact bristles, and it's really going to allow to give more coverage to the skin because the foundation doesn't have any place to go into the brush because the bristles are so compact. So you can apply your foundation with this kind of brush in a stippling motion, and it's really going to give more coverage. I would recommend you to use a full coverage foundation with these kind of brushes, but makeup doesn't really have any rules. You can use this with a light cover foundation and it's probably going to give you more coverage. But yeah, if you want something with full coverage, this is your guy. Next, we're going to jump into sponges. Now, sponges are amazing because you can get anything with this, but with this you can actually use a light cover foundation, you can use a full cover foundation. The main benefit of a sponge is that it's going to give a very natural finish. It's really going to apply the foundation in an even layer because the sponge is actually going to absorb excess product, and you can really layer the foundation with sponges. And depending on which finish foundation you chose, you're going to get that finish. So if you have a light coverage foundation, you're going to get light coverage. If you have full, you're going to get full coverage. And keep in mind that some sponges do absorb a lot of product. I would say be careful with which kind of sponge you use. I wouldn't recommend, for example, those like FX makeup sponge with foundation because they're going to absorb all of your product. And next, the third applicator would be your fingers. Now, fingers are going to apply a foundation very seamlessly because of the heat in your finger. It's really going to melt the foundation in your skin. If you don't mind the mess, you can totally use your finger because it's really foolproof and it's really fast when using your fingers to apply your foundation. For example, I really like to use my fingers whenever applying concealer because I really want my concealer to have more coverage, so I can layer my concealer whenever using my fingers because the natural heat of the fingers are going to really make the layers look very natural and very melted down, but it will also give the most coverage possible. So yeah, don't forget that your fingers are super useful. So now that you have chosen your foundation finish, your foundation color, and your applicator, your complexion will be perfectly adapted to your skin needs. So that's pretty much it for today's video. I really hope it was helpful for you. So like I said in the intro, I really want to take it back a notch and go back to the base of makeup. I feel like it's really important to talk about the base before going into more intense makeup looks or intense techniques. And I'm probably going to be doing a series out of this. I'm maybe thinking of doing the eyes next. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments down below. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you're doing well. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I put up new videos 3 times a week. So subscribe so that you don't miss any of my content. And also, you can follow me on Instagram where I put daily makeup looks. So my eyes are dying because I've been doing makeup looks for like the past month every day. I have very dry lids. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.